I want an open marriage. I need a child. Those words shattered Natasha Anderson's 5-year marriage in a single night. 24 hours later, her husband moved his mistress into their home. Natasha thought her life was over. Until she met Kang Min-Ho, Korea's most powerful billionaire, a ruthless mafia boss, and her husband's deadliest rival. He offered her a deal. Fake date him for revenge. But when fake started feeling real, Natasha realized she wasn't just getting revenge. She was getting her entire life back.
Welcome back, Lineage. If you're here, it means you already know this channel doesn't do soft stories. Trust me. This one is dark, uncomfortable, and impossible to forget. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications, because stories like this don't just entertain you, they stay with you.
She was getting her entire life back. Marriage was over the moment her husband said the word, open. They were sitting at the dinner table in their Seoul apartment, the expensive one Liam's tech company paid for, in the building with a view of the Han River that should have meant they'd made it. 5 years of marriage, 5 years of trying for a baby, 5 years of fertility treatments, hormone injections, failed IVF cycles, and monthly disappointments that felt like small deaths. And now this. I need to be honest with you, Liam said, not meeting her eyes. His Korean accent was thicker when he was nervous. I've been thinking about our situation. About us. Natasha's stomach dropped. Nothing good ever started with, I need to be honest. What situation? She asked, even though she knew. The baby situation. Natasha, we've tried everything. It's been 5 years. My mother is asking questions. My family expects heirs. I'm 35. I can't wait forever. There it was. The blame. Never stated directly, but always there, hovering between them like a ghost. The doctors said we both test fine, Natasha said quietly, her hands gripping her wine glass so hard she thought it might shatter. It's just bad luck. These things take time. 5 years isn't bad luck. It's a sign. Liam finally looked at her, and his expression was so cold, it made her blood freeze. I think we need to try something different. Different how? There's a new treatment in the US. I read about it. I want an open marriage. The words hung in the air like a bomb that hadn't exploded yet. Natasha stared at him. What? An open marriage. We stay together, but we see other people. Specifically, I see other women who might be able to give me a child. The bomb exploded. Natasha felt like she couldn't breathe. You want to sleep with other women? To get them pregnant? Well, we're still married. I want a child, Natasha. If you can't give me one, someone else will. But I don't want to lose you. This way, we can stay married, and I can still have the family I need. The family I need. Not we need. I need. Like Natasha's feelings didn't matter at all. This is insane, she whispered. You can't. This isn't how marriage works. It's how our marriage works now, unless you want a divorce. The threat was clear. Agree or lose everything. Natasha thought about her life. She'd given up her career as a graphic designer to move to Seoul with Liam when his startup took off. She'd isolated herself from friends and family back in Chicago to support his dreams. She'd spent 5 years trying to get pregnant, because that's what his traditional Korean family expected. And now he was asking her to let him cheat, officially, with her permission. I need time to think, she said, her voice shaking. Take the night, Liam said, standing up like the conversation was over, like he'd just asked her to pick up dry cleaning instead of destroying their marriage. But Natasha, I'm doing this either way. The only question is whether you're staying or going. He walked out of the dining room, leaving her sitting there with cold food and a colder heart. Natasha didn't sleep that night. She lay in their bed, alone, because Liam had moved to the guest room months ago, and tried to figure out how her life had become this nightmare. She'd met Liam 6 years ago at a design conference in LA. He'd been charming, ambitious, funny. He'd pursued her relentlessly, saying he'd never met anyone like her. That her brown skin was beautiful, that her creativity amazed him, that he didn't care what his traditional family thought. He loved her. She'd believed him. They'd married quickly, moved to Seoul for his business, and everything changed. His mother hated her, called her that black woman in Korean when she thought Natasha couldn't understand, made comments about her hair, her body, her inability to give them grandchildren. Liam had defended her at first, then less, then not at all. And somewhere along the way, the man who'd loved her became the man who saw her as an inconvenience. By morning, Natasha had made her decision. She'd agree, because she was terrified of being divorced and alone in a foreign country with no career and no support system. Because she still loved him, even though he clearly didn't love her anymore. Because she hoped that maybe, if she agreed to this, he'd see how much she was willing to sacrifice and fall in love with her again. She was wrong. The next afternoon, Liam came home early with his secretary. Park Min-Seo walked into Natasha's apartment like she owned it. Young, beautiful, Korean, everything Natasha wasn't. Wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than Natasha's monthly allowance. "Natasha, this is Min-Seo," Liam said casually, like he was introducing a colleague instead of his mistress. "She'll be staying in the guest room." Natasha felt like she'd been slapped. "You're moving her in? Already?" "Liam, I just agreed to this yesterday, and I'm being honest about my intentions. Isn't that what you wanted? Honesty?" His smile was cruel. "Min-Seo and I have been seeing each other for 6 months. She's willing to have my child. This just makes things easier." 6 months. He'd been cheating for 6 months. The open marriage wasn't about honesty. It was about making his affair legitimate, making Natasha complicit in her own humiliation. Min-Seo smiled at her. Sweet. Poisonous. "I hope this won't be awkward, Natasha. Liam speaks very highly of you." The lie was so blatant it was almost funny. Natasha looked at Liam, waiting for him to see how cruel this was, waiting for him to show even a shred of the man she'd married. Nothing. He just looked impatient. "Min-Seo, let me show you your room." They walked away, leaving Natasha standing in her own living room, feeling like a stranger in her own life. That night, Natasha packed a bag and left. She couldn't stay there, couldn't watch her husband play house with his mistress, couldn't pretend this was normal or acceptable or anything other than the complete destruction of everything she'd believed in. She checked into a hotel, sat on the bed, stared at nothing. Then she went to the hotel bar and ordered wine. And that's where everything changed. The bar was upscale, expensive, full of businessmen in suits and women in designer dresses. Natasha sat at the corner, nursing her second glass of wine, trying not to cry in public. "Rough day." The voice came from beside her, deep, male, accented. Natasha looked up and her breath caught. The man was Korean, late 30s, maybe early 40s. Devastatingly handsome in that sharp, dangerous way. Expensive suit that was tailored perfectly to broad shoulders. Dark eyes that seemed to see everything. Black hair styled back from a face that could have been carved from stone. He looked like he owned the world, and knew it. "Rough life," Natasha said, her voice bitter. "But thanks for asking." The man smiled slightly and gestured to the empty stool beside her. "May I?" Natasha shrugged. "Free country." He sat, ordered whiskey, and didn't speak for a moment. Just sat there, comfortable in silence, in a way that should have been awkward, but wasn't. Then finally he said, "I'm Min-Ho." Natasha smiled. "Natasha. American?" he asked. "Is it that obvious?" your accent, and he gestured vaguely at her. You don't look like you belong in a hotel bar in Gangnam at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, crying into expensive wine. I'm not crying, Natasha said, even though her eyes were definitely wet. Not yet. But you're close. Min-Ho's expression softened. Want to talk about it? I'm a stranger. You'll never see me again. Sometimes that makes it easier. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the way he looked at her, like she was actually worth listening to. Maybe it was just that she'd been holding everything in for so long that it had to come out, or she'd explode. Whatever the reason, Natasha talked. She told him about Liam, about the open marriage, about Min-Seo moving in, about 5 years of feeling worthless because her body wouldn't cooperate, about giving up, everything to support a man who'd thrown her away the moment she wasn't useful anymore. Min-Ho listened, didn't interrupt, didn't offer platitudes or advice, just listened. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then, what if you could make him regret it? Natasha laughed bitterly. How? He doesn't care about me. The open marriage proved that. I'm nothing to him. Then make him care. Make him jealous. Make him see what he threw away, Natasha. Min-Ho leaned closer, and suddenly the space between them felt charged, electric. What if I told you I could help you? She blinked. Help me how? I'll help you. Make him understand that you're not some desperate wife he can discard whenever it's convenient. Min-Ho's eyes were intense, pinning her in place. Let me be your boyfriend. Fake, obviously. We'll go to events together. Make sure Liam sees us. Make sure everyone sees us. And we watch him lose his mind. Natasha's heart was pounding. Why would you do that? What do you get out of it? Revenge on a business rival who's been a thorn in my side for years. Watching Liam Park realize he made the biggest mistake of his life. And Min-Ho's gaze traveled over her face slowly. The chance to spend time with a beautiful woman who deserves far better than what she's been given. This is insane. Maybe. But you came to this bar wanting to hurt the way he hurt you. I'm offering you a way to do that. Effectively. Publicly. In a way that will haunt him. Natasha should say no. This was manipulation. This was using her pain for business leverage. But when she looked into Min-Ho's eyes, she saw something else beneath the calculation. Interest. Real interest. And the way he'd looked at her when he said, beautiful. That hadn't been fake. What would I have to do? She asked. Show up. Look incredible. He smirked. Let me treat you the way you should have been treated all along. And watch your husband realize he's the biggest fool in Seoul. Min-Ho extended his hand. Deal? Natasha looked at his hand. Those scarred knuckles. Those long, dangerous fingers. She thought about Liam and Min-Seo in her apartment. About 5 years of feeling worthless. About the tan line on her finger, where her wedding ring used to be. And she thought about the way Min-Ho looked at her, like she was something valuable instead of something broken. Deal, Natasha said, placing her hand in his. Min-Ho's fingers closed around hers, warm and strong, and something passed between them that felt like a promise, or a threat, or both. One more thing, Min-Ho said, not releasing her hand yet. I should tell you. I saw you before tonight. What? 6 months ago. Business gala at the Lotte Hotel. You were wearing a blue dress. Your husband ignored you the entire night while he networked. You stood by the bar looking like you wanted to disappear. I wanted to talk to you then. Tell you that you deserved better. But you were married, and I don't cross that line. Natasha's breath caught. You remember what I was wearing? I remember everything about that night. He smiled, the most beautiful one she'd ever seen. The way you held your champagne glass like a shield. The way you smiled when people talked to you, even though your eyes were sad. The way your husband touched your back once, exactly once. And it looked like an obligation instead of affection. Min-Ho's thumb brushed against her knuckles, and Natasha felt heat spread up her arm. "I've wanted to talk to you for 6 months," he said quietly. "Your husband just gave me an excuse to stop being honorable about it." "This is still just fake," Natasha said, but her voice sounded uncertain even to her own ears. "Just for show, to make Liam jealous." Min-Ho's smile was slow and devastating. "We'll see." He released her hand finally, and Natasha felt the loss like a physical thing. "Tomorrow night," Min-Ho said, pulling out his phone. "There's a charity gala, art auction, very high profile. Liam will be there. So will we. What's your number?" Natasha gave it to him, her hand still tingling where he'd touched her. Min-Ho sent her a text immediately. "Now you have mine. I'll send details tomorrow." And Natasha, "Yes? Wear something that makes you feel powerful, because that's what you are, whether you believe it yet or not." He stood, placed several bills on the bar, far more than the food and drinks cost, and looked at her one last time. "This is going to be fun," he said. Then he was gone, moving through the bar with the kind of presence that made people unconsciously step aside. Even the way he walked was dangerous, controlled, purposeful, like a predator who knew exactly what he was hunting. Natasha sat there for a long time after he left, her heart pounding, her skin still warm where he'd touched her. She'd just agreed to fake date her husband's business rival to make him jealous. This was insane. This was reckless. This was exactly what she needed. Her phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Sleep well, Natasha. Tomorrow, we start the war." She saved the number under Min-Ho and finished her wine. For the first time in 5 years, she was smiling. The next morning, Natasha woke up with her phone blaring so loudly. It was a call. From Min-Ho. She swiped right, and his deep voice reverberated almost instantly. "Movers will be at your apartment at noon. I'm getting you out of that hotel. You need a power base, not a temporary room. Address coming shortly." "What?" Natasha blinked as her voice became unsteady. "Min-Ho, I can't let you buy me an apartment." "I'm not buying, Natasha. I'm lending," he said calmly. "One of my properties. Consider it part of our arrangement. Liam needs to see you're not desperate." "But," her voice actually broke. "This feels like too much." She immediately heard his rich chuckle float through the phone. "Natasha, do you want to win or do you want to be nice? Because you can't do both." She bit her lips and paused for a long moment. He was right. Being nice had gotten her an open marriage and a mistress in her guest room. Being strategic might actually get her some dignity back. Then finally she nodded, as though he could ess her. "Okay, send me the address." The apartment, penthouse really, was in Hanam-dong, the kind of neighborhood where Korean celebrities and old money lived, where a one-bedroom cost what most people made in a decade. The movers arrived at Liam's apartment while he was at work. Natasha supervised as they packed her clothes, her design equipment, her personal items. Everything that was hers, and only hers. She didn't take anything Liam had bought, didn't want his money or his gifts or any reminder that she'd once been stupid enough to think those things meant love. She left her key on the kitchen counter, didn't leave a note, just disappeared. The penthouse took her breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River, modern furniture in grays and whites, a kitchen she'd actually want to cook in, a bedroom with a bed so large she could starfish across it and not touch the edges, space that was hers. Her phone rang within an hour. Liam. She sent it to voicemail. He called again. And again. 6 times in 30 minutes. Finally, she answered. "Where the hell are you?" Liam's voice was furious and loud. "I came home and all your stuff is gone. The movers said you had them pack everything. What the fuck, Natasha?" She shook her head. "I moved out." "Moved out? To where?" He scoffed. "You don't have money for a place? I have friends who are helping me. That's all you need to know." "Friends? What friends? You don't have friends in Seoul. Whose fault is that, Liam?" Her voice rose a notch. "You moved me here and kept me isolated for 5 years. But things change. People change. I'm done being your convenient wife." His voice became softer now. "Natasha, you can't just leave without discussing. The way you discussed moving your mistress into my home." Natasha's voice was ice. "I don't owe you explanations. We're in an open marriage, remember? I'm living my life now. You live yours." He scoffed. "This is about last night, isn't it? About Min-Ho. Natasha, you don't have a job. You don't have income. You'll come crawling back in a week. Don't count on it." She hung up, blocked his number, and felt powerful for the first time in years. The stylist arrived at 4 p.m. Her name was Yuna, and she came with assistants, garment bags, and a makeup kit that looked like it cost more than Natasha's first car. "Mr. Kang sent me," Yuna said with a professional smile. "He wants you unforgettable tonight." For 3 hours, Natasha was transformed. The dress was red, deep crimson, the color of wine and revenge. It hugged every curve, with a neckline that was elegant, but showed enough skin to be devastating. Her natural hair, the ones Liam's mother had always criticized, were styled big and beautiful, framing her face like a crown. Her makeup highlighted her brown skin, made her eyes huge, her lips full and dangerous. When Yuna stepped back, even she looked impressed. "Mr. Kang is going to lose his mind." "Which one?" Natasha asked. "Min-Ho or Liam?" Yuna smiled. "Both." The car arrived at 7, a Bentley with a driver who opened the door without a word. Min-Ho was waiting in the back seat. He wore a tuxedo that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. His hair was perfectly styled. His expression was unreadable until he saw her. Then his eyes widened slightly, and something that looked a lot like hunger crossed his face. "You look incredible," he said, his voice rough. "Thank you." "Liam's going to have a stroke when he sees you." Min-Ho smiled, and it was sharp as a knife. "Perfect." The gala was at the Shilla Hotel. Red carpet. Photographers. Korea's elite in designer formal wear, competing to see who could look more important. Min-Ho's hand settled on Natasha's lower back as they walked toward the entrance, warm and possessive. "Smile," he murmured. "Show them you're untouchable." Natasha smiled, and she meant it. The cameras flashed as they walked the red carpet together, photographers shouting questions in Korean, reporters trying to figure out who she was. "Mr. Kang, who is your date? Is this a new relationship? What's her name?" Min-Ho ignored all of them, his attention focused entirely on Natasha, like she was the only person who mattered. They entered the ballroom, and Natasha's eyes immediately found Liam. He was standing with Min-Ho near the bar, both dressed formally, talking to potential investors. Then he looked up. Saw Natasha. His face went white. His eyes traveled from her face to the dress to Min-Ho's hand on her back, and his expression shifted from shock to fury in seconds. Min-Ho noticed his reaction, followed his gaze, and her smile faltered. Min-Ho steered Natasha toward the opposite side of the room, toward the champagne fountain. "Let him come to you," Min-Ho said quietly. "Don't give him the satisfaction." "I don't feel like I need to," Natasha admitted. "I feel powerful." "Good, because you are." They took champagne, stood together, not hiding, but not engaging either, just existing as a couple who belonged. And Liam couldn't take his eyes off them. Natasha watched him make excuses to Min-Seo. Watched him start moving toward them with that determined expression she knew so well. He was going to cause a scene. "Here he comes," Natasha murmured. "Let him," Min-Ho said, his voice calm. "We have nothing to hide." Liam arrived like a storm. "Natasha, we need to talk. Now." Min-Ho turned slowly, his expression mildly interested. "I don't think we've been properly introduced." "Min-Ho Kang." He extended his hand. Liam ignored it. "I know exactly who you are, Kang." "Natasha, what the hell are you doing here with him?" "Having a wonderful evening," Natasha said sweetly. "Why? You're my wife. In an open marriage, which means I can see whoever I want, just like you're seeing Min-Seo." Natasha took a sip of champagne. "Or did you think the rules only applied to you?" Liam's face was red now, a vein throbbing in his temple. "That's completely different." "How?" Min-Ho asked, his tone deceptively mild. "Please, explain how it's different." "Stay out of this, Kang. This is between me and my wife." "Actually," Natasha said, stepping closer to Min-Ho. "Min-Ho is very much in this. He's been incredibly supportive during a difficult time." Min-Ho's arm slid around her waist, possessive, protective. The claim was clear. Liam looked like he wanted to throw a punch. "Natasha, you're making a scene. People are staring. Let's discuss this outside like adults." She couldn't help but laugh. "I'm perfectly comfortable discussing it here. You wanted an open marriage. You moved your secretary into my home. You've been cheating for 6 months. Now I'm dating someone else. That's how this works, Liam. Or did you think I'd just sit home alone while you played house with Min-Seo?" His cheeks burned. "You're doing this to hurt me." "No," Natasha said, her voice cold. "I'm doing this because I deserve better than a husband who sees me as disposable. Min-Ho sees me as valuable. There's a difference." Min-Seo appeared at Liam's elbow, looking uncomfortable. "Liam? Maybe we should—" "Not now," Liam snapped at her. Natasha almost felt sorry for the secretary. "Almost." "We're leaving," Liam said, grabbing Min-Seo's arm. "But this conversation isn't over, Natasha." "Yes," Natasha said quietly. "It is." She turned her back on him, leaning into Min-Ho's warmth, and didn't watch him leave. Didn't care. For the first time in 5 years, Liam Park didn't matter to her anymore. The rest of the gala passed in a blur. Min-Ho introduced Natasha to people. Business associates, investors, Seoul's elite. Everyone was curious about her. Who was this woman on Min-Ho Kang's arm? Where had she come from? Min-Ho's answer was always the same. "This is Natasha. She's incredible. And yes, she's with me." Simple. Definitive. Leaving no room for speculation. By the time they left, Natasha's face hurt from smiling. In the car, Min-Ho looked at her. "You did well tonight." "Well," she shook her head. "I didn't do anything except stand there and look pretty." "You stood next to me and made your husband lose his mind. That's more than nothing." Min-Ho's expression softened slightly. "How do you feel?" Her smile grew wider. "Like I've been holding my breath for 5 years, and I can finally exhale." "Good. Because tomorrow, things escalate." She blinked. "What do you mean?" Min-Ho pulled out his phone, showed her a series of photos. "The gala photos are already online. You and me on the red carpet. The two of us together at the champagne fountain." Liam's face when he saw us. The photos were everywhere. Society blogs, gossip sites, business news outlets trying to figure out why Min-Ho Kang was suddenly dating an unknown American woman. "This is going to spread," Min-Ho said. "By tomorrow, everyone in Seoul's business community will know that Liam Park's wife is dating his biggest competitor. His investors will ask questions. His business partners will wonder if there's a conflict of interest. His mother will lose her mind." His mother, Natasha repeated, her stomach sinking. Oh God, I didn't think about his mother. Don't worry about her. Worry about yourself, about building your own life. Speaking of which, Min-Ho shifted to face her fully. I want to offer you a job. Natasha blinked. What? You're a graphic designer, right? Before you gave it up to support Liam's career? I was, but I haven't worked in 5 years. So you're rusty. You'll learn again. I need a creative director for Kang Industries' branding division. The pay is excellent. The work is challenging. And it'll give you financial independence, so you're not relying on anyone ever again. Min-Ho, I can't just take a job because you're offering it. Why not? You're qualified. I need someone. This is business, Natasha, not charity. His eyes were serious. I'm not rescuing you. I'm investing in you. There's a difference. Natasha thought about it. A job, her own money, her own career again. Not dependent on Liam, not dependent on Min-Ho, just herself. Okay, she said. I'll take it. Min-Ho smiled. Good. You start Monday. My assistant will send you the details. The car pulled up to Natasha's building. Min-Ho walked her to the lobby, his hand on her lower back again. At the elevator, he stopped. Natasha, I need to ask you something. What? This thing between us, the fake relationship, how far are you willing to take it? Natasha's heart was pounding. What do you mean? I mean public events, yes. Photos, yes. But what about... Min-Ho hesitated, which was surprising for a man who seemed to never hesitate. What about when we're alone, when no one's watching? I don't understand. I'm attracted to you, Min-Ho said bluntly. I have been since I saw you 6 months ago. This started as business, a way to hurt Liam and help you get revenge. But it's becoming something else, at least for me. Natasha couldn't breathe. Min-Ho, I'm not asking for anything tonight. I'm just being honest. So you know where I stand. This can stay fake if that's what you need. But if you ever want it to be real... He stepped closer. I'm here. Then he was gone, disappearing into the night, leaving Natasha standing in the lobby with her heart racing and her mind spinning. She rode the elevator up to her penthouse in a daze, collapsed on the couch and pulled out her phone. The photos from the gala were everywhere, her and Min-Ho together, looking like a couple who belonged. And in the background of one photo, barely visible but definitely there, Liam watching them with an expression of pure devastation. Natasha should have felt satisfied, should have felt victorious. Instead, she felt confused, because Min-Ho's words kept echoing in her head. If you ever want it to be real, I'm here. Did she want it to be real? Could she trust her feelings when everything was so tangled up in revenge and hurt, and the desperate need to prove Liam wrong? She didn't know, but she knew one thing. Min-Ho Kang was dangerous, not because he was using her, but because she was starting to want him to. Monday morning, Natasha walked into Kang Industries, wearing a designer suit Min-Ho's assistant had sent over, and feeling like an imposter. The building was glass and steel, modern and intimidating. The lobby alone was bigger than the apartment she'd shared with Liam. Min-Ho's assistant met her at reception, a sharp-eyed Korean woman named Ji-Won, who looked like she could kill you with efficiency. Ms. Anderson, welcome. Mr. Kang is expecting you. Follow me. They took a private elevator to the top floor. Min-Ho's office was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows, expensive furniture, artwork that probably cost more than Natasha's college education. Min-Ho stood by the windows, phone to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. He saw her and held up one finger. Wait. Natasha waited, trying not to stare at how good he looked in a suit, with his hair slightly mussed, like he'd been running his hands through it. He ended the call and turned to her with a smile.
Pause for a second. I need to know what you would do here. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story has you hooked, tap the like button and share with family and friends so I know to keep bringing you stories like this.
Natasha, you look ready to conquer the world. I look terrified. Same thing. He gestured to the conference table. Sit. Let's talk about your role. For the next hour, Min-Ho outlined what he needed. Rebranding for 3 major properties. Design work for investor presentations. Creative direction for marketing campaigns. It was overwhelming. It was also exactly what Natasha needed. I'll give you a team, Min-Ho said. 3 designers, a copywriter, a project manager. You lead them. Show me what you can do. And if I fail, you won't. But if you do, you learn and try again. That's how this works. Min-Ho leaned back in his chair. I don't invest in people I think will fail, Natasha. I invest in people I know will succeed if given the right opportunity. Why are you doing this? Really? Because you're talented and wasted that talent supporting someone who didn't appreciate it. Because I need good people and you're good people. And because, he met her eyes directly, I like seeing you powerful. It suits you. Heat spread through Natasha's chest. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. Min-Ho glanced at it, and his expression hardened. What? Natasha asked. Liam just called an emergency board meeting for his company. According to my source, he's accusing me of industrial espionage and conflict of interest because I'm dating his wife. Oh God, her head spun. Min-Ho, I'm so sorry. Don't be. This is exactly what I wanted. He's panicking, making mistakes, showing his investors that he's distracted and irrational. Meanwhile, I'm calm, professional, and dating a brilliant woman who makes me look good. Who do you think wins that fight? Min-Ho stood, buttoning his jacket. I have to deal with this. Ji-won will show you to your office and introduce you to your team. We'll have dinner tonight to discuss how your first day went. 8 o'clock. I'll pick you up. Min-Ho. He paused at the door. Yes? Thank you. For all of this. The apartment, the job, everything. Min-Ho's expression softened. Thank you for trusting me enough to let me help. Before she knew it, he crossed the room back to her in few strides. He moved and leaned in so closely Natasha felt her heart skip a beat. She thought he was going to kiss her. He only planted a kiss on her forehead. Soft. She felt a shiver shoot down her spine. Then he was gone, and Natasha was left in his massive office, her heart pounding, wondering how her life had gone from disaster to whatever this was in less than a week. Over the next 3 weeks, Natasha's life transformed completely. She threw herself into work at Kang Industries, and her team stopped seeing her as a trophy hire and started seeing her as someone who actually knew what she was doing. The Riverside development branding she'd created got approved by investors, and Min-Ho gave her an even bigger project, rebranding the entire Kang Industries corporate identity. She moved through Seoul with confidence now. Designer clothes that Min-Ho insisted on buying her. Expensive dinners at restaurants where people recognized her as Min-Ho Kang's girlfriend. Charity events where photographers shouted her name alongside his. And everywhere they went, people whispered, "That's Liam Park's ex-wife, isn't it? She's with Min-Ho Kang now. That's bold. She looks completely different. Happy. Liam must be losing his mind." They were right. Liam was losing his mind. He called Natasha his new work number. She'd blocked his personal calls and left increasingly desperate voicemails. "Natasha, we need to talk. This thing with Kang needs to stop. You're embarrassing both of us." Another. "My mother is having a breakdown because of you. Can you at least call her?" And another. "The investors are asking questions. They think there's a conflict of interest. You're hurting my business. I know I made mistakes, but this is too far. End it with Kang and come home. We can fix this. Natasha deleted every message without listening to them fully. She didn't care anymore. Min-Ho was another story. The secretary had been so confident at first, smug about winning Liam, about moving into Natasha's home, about being the woman who'd give him a child. But 3 weeks later, she still wasn't pregnant. Natasha knew this because Liam's assistant, a woman named Sun-hee, who'd always been kind to Natasha, started texting her updates about how Min-Ho took another pregnancy test today. It turned out negative, and she got to cry in the bathroom for 20 minutes, and several others. Natasha should have felt satisfaction. Instead, she felt nothing. Liam and Min-Ho's problems weren't her concern anymore. But Min-Ho's business warfare with Liam? That was escalating beautifully. Every deal Liam wanted, Min-Ho got. Every investor Liam courted, Min-Ho charmed away. Every property Liam tried to develop, Min-Ho outbid. It was systematic, ruthless, devastating. And Liam knew exactly why it was happening. "He's using you," Liam screamed at Natasha one day when he ambushed her outside Kang Industries. "Kang doesn't care about you. He's just using you to destroy my business. Can't you see that?" Natasha looked at her ex-husband, hair disheveled, eyes wild, suit wrinkled like he'd slept in it. He looked pathetic. "Even if that were true," Natasha said calmly, "being used by Min-Ho is still better than being married to you. At least he treats me like I matter." His jaw clenched. "You're making a mistake." "No. Marrying you was the mistake." Natasha fumed. "This is me fixing it." She walked away, and Liam didn't follow. Couldn't follow, because Min-Ho had appeared, his presence alone enough to make Liam back down. "Problem?" Min-Ho asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "No problem," Natasha said. "Just taking out the trash." Min-Ho's hand settled on her back, warm and possessive. When she turned back, she still saw Liam watching her with impotent rage. So she did the unthinkable. She leaned in so close to Min-Ho, and before she knew it, crashed her lips onto his. His lips were soft. Too soft. And Natasha felt her body shiver with this aching desire she hadn't felt in years. That night, Min-Ho took Natasha to his actual home for the first time. Not the penthouse he'd lent her, his personal residence. It was a traditional Hanok house in Bukchon, modernized inside but maintaining the classic Korean architecture outside. Private, secluded, beautiful. "This is where you live?" Natasha asked, looking around at the minimalist interior, the expensive art, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a private garden. "This is home," Min-Ho confirmed. "I wanted to show you. Wanted you to see the real me, not just the business persona." They had dinner that his housekeeper had prepared, traditional Korean food that was incredible. They drank wine, talked about work, about life, about everything and nothing. And then Min-Ho said something that changed everything. "I need to tell you something. About Liam." Natasha set down her wine glass. "What about him?" "I had my people dig into his medical records. I know that's invasive, but I needed leverage, and I wanted to understand why he was so obsessed with having a child when you'd been trying for 5 years without success." Natasha's stomach tightened. "What did you find?" "Liam has a genetic condition, low sperm motility. It's been diagnosed since he was 28. 2 years before he met you. His doctors told him he'd likely never father children naturally. The odds are less than 5% without significant intervention." The words hit Natasha like a physical blow. "What?" "He knew." Min-Ho nodded. "Before he married you. Before you spent 5 years thinking your body was broken. Before his mother spent 5 years telling you that you were defective. He knew the entire time that he was the problem, not you." Natasha couldn't breathe. That's not possible. The doctors tested us both. They said we were fine. His mother paid them to lie. I have the bank transfers. She bribed the fertility specialists to tell you the problem was unexplained, that it was bad luck, anything except the truth, that her precious son couldn't father children. Rage exploded through Natasha's chest, hot, blinding, all-consuming. 5 years. 5 years of thinking she was broken. 5 years of hormone shots and invasive procedures and monthly heartbreak. 5 years of Liam's family treating her like she was defective, and it was Liam all along. That's why he wanted the open marriage, Natasha said, her voice shaking. Not just to cheat. He wanted Min-Ho to have a baby so he could claim it was his, so no one would ever know he was infertile. Exactly, he nodded. But Min-Ho's not getting pregnant either, because the problem is Liam, not the women he sleeps with, and he's too arrogant to admit it. Natasha stood up, pacing, her hands shaking with fury. I need to tell people. I need everyone to know what he did. You will. But strategically, we don't just expose him, we destroy him. Completely. In a way he can't recover from. Min-Ho stood, moved toward her. Natasha, look at me. She did. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But you need to channel that anger into something productive. We use this information to end him, his business, his reputation, everything. And then you walk away free, with your dignity intact and his world in ashes, okay? Natasha took a shaky breath. Okay, good. Because I have a plan. The plan was brilliant. Min-Ho had connections everywhere, including at Seoul's largest fertility clinic. He arranged for Natasha to get tested, comprehensive screening, everything. The results came back 2 weeks later. Natasha was perfectly fertile, no issues whatsoever. The doctors confirmed she could conceive naturally without any problems. Min-Ho had the medical report sealed and certified by 3 independent specialists. Then he leaked it, not to the press directly. That would be too obvious. Instead, he let it slip during a private investor dinner. Mentioned casually that his girlfriend had recently gotten medical confirmation that she was perfectly healthy and capable of having children. The implication was clear. The problem had always been Liam. The rumor spread like wildfire through Seoul's business community. Within days, everyone was talking about it. Did you hear? Liam Park's ex-wife is fertile, so the problem was Liam all along. His mother blamed that poor woman for 5 years when it was her son's fault. No wonder he wanted an open marriage. He needed someone else to give him a child because he can't. And Min-Ho still isn't pregnant after 2 months of trying. Poor girl probably thinks she's defective, when really she's just with the wrong man. Liam's business suffered immediately. Investors started pulling out. Traditional Korean families didn't want to partner with a man who couldn't produce heirs. It was old-fashioned and sexist and completely devastating. His mother called Natasha 17 times in one day, screaming about family honor and demanding Natasha retract the lies. Natasha blocked her. Liam showed up at Kang Industries again, this time completely unhinged. Security stopped him at the lobby, but Natasha could hear him screaming from the elevator. Natasha, you're destroying my life. Is this what you wanted? Min-Ho appeared at her office door. Do you want me to handle this? No, Natasha said, surprising herself. I'll handle it. She went down to the lobby, where Liam was being restrained by security, his face red, his eyes wild. You wanted to talk? Natasha said coldly. Talk? You told everyone I'm infertile? I didn't tell anyone anything, she smirked. I got tested to confirm I'm healthy. The conclusions people drew from that are their own. You know what you did. You destroyed my reputation. His voice was blasting so loudly. My business is falling apart. My mother won't speak to me. My investors think I'm damaged goods. Good. She smiled victoriously. Now you know how I felt for 5 years while you and your mother convinced me I was broken. While you cheated on me and blamed it on my inability to have children. While you manipulated me into an open marriage so you could legitimize your affair without admitting you were the infertile one all along. Liam's face crumbled. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I made mistakes. But this, Natasha, this is too far. Please, I'm begging you. Call off Kang. Tell people you were wrong. Something. Anything. She hesitated for a moment. And then she said, No. Liam couldn't believe his eyes. Natasha, you took 5 years of my life. You made me hate myself. You threw me away like garbage the moment I agreed to your sick plan. And now you're upset that there are consequences? Natasha stepped closer. This is what you deserve, Liam. All of it. And I'm going to watch you lose everything the way I did. The way you made me feel. Natasha could see tears almost brimming his eyes. I loved you. She only turned to security. He's not allowed in this building again, ever. If he shows up, call the police. She walked away, leaving Liam screaming her name. And she didn't look back. That night, Min-Ho took her to the Han River. They sat on a bench, watching the lights reflect on the water, not talking. Finally, Min-Ho spoke. How do you feel? Powerful, angry, sad, all of it at once. Natasha leaned against his shoulder, and he wrapped his arm around her. Thank you. For helping me. For showing me I wasn't broken. You were never broken, just married to the wrong man. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Natasha felt it. A wave of nausea that came out of nowhere, sudden and overwhelming. She pulled away from Min-Ho, her hand flying to her mouth. I think I'm going to be sick. What? Are you okay? Natasha stood, moved away from the bench, and tried to breathe through the nausea. It passed after a minute, leaving her shaky and confused. Sorry, she said. I don't know what that was. Maybe bad food? But even as she said it, a thought occurred to her. Nausea. Exhaustion. Her period was late, had been for 2 weeks, but she'd been so busy with work and Liam's drama that she hadn't noticed. No, it couldn't be. Could it? Min-Ho, she said slowly. When was the last time When did we? Min-Ho's expression shifted, understanding dawning. 3 weeks ago, after the investor dinner. We'd had too much wine and we didn't use protection, Natasha finished. They stared at each other. You don't think, Min-Ho started. I need to take a test. They went to a pharmacy, bought 3 different pregnancy tests, went back to Natasha's penthouse. Natasha locked herself in the bathroom, her hands shaking as she took all 3 tests. Then she waited. 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. When she looked down at the tests, all 3 showed the same result. Positive. 2 pink lines. Pregnant. Natasha's legs gave out and she sat on the bathroom floor, staring at the tests, her mind completely blank. There was a knock on the door. Natasha, what does it say? She opened the door. Min-Ho saw her face, saw the tests in her hand, and went very still. I'm pregnant, Natasha whispered. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Min-Ho knelt in front of her, his hands framing her face. Is it mine? Yes. She blinked thrice. Liam and I we haven't been together in months, before the open marriage even. It's yours. Min-Ho closed his eyes, and when he opened them, Natasha saw something she'd never seen before. Fear. I know we didn't plan this. I don't expect anything from you, Natasha said quickly. This fake relationship, it was never supposed to be real. I don't want you to feel trapped. Natasha, stop talking. She stopped. Min-Ho's hands were still on her face, his eyes searching hers. This thing between us, it stopped being fake for me weeks ago. Maybe it was never really fake. I don't know. But I know this. I'm in love with you. Completely. Terrifyingly. And if you're pregnant with my child, that's not a trap. It's a gift. Natasha's eyes filled with tears. Min-Ho. I know it's fast. I know this is complicated. I know you're still healing from what Liam did. But I need you to know, I want this. I want you. And I want this baby. If you do. I don't know what I want, Natasha admitted. I'm scared. I spent 5 years trying to get pregnant and failing. And now that I am, it's with someone I've known for a month in a relationship that started as revenge. Then let's make it real. Not fake, not revenge. Real. You and me and this baby. A real family. If you want that. Natasha looked at him. This man who'd appeared in her life at her lowest point. Who'd helped her find her strength again. Who'd shown her she was valuable when everyone else treated her like she was worthless. I want that, she whispered. I'm terrified. But I want that. Min-Ho kissed her. Not the polite, chaste kiss of a fake boyfriend. The desperate, hungry kiss of a man who'd been holding back for weeks and finally didn't have to. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Min-Ho pressed his forehead to hers. We're doing this, he said. For real this time. For real, Natasha agreed. And for the first time in 5 years, she felt genuinely, completely happy. The next morning, Natasha woke up in Min-Ho's arms in his Hanok house. They'd driven there after the pregnancy test, talking until dawn about what this meant, what they wanted, how they'd handle it. Min-Ho wanted to tell everyone immediately. Natasha wanted to wait until the first trimester was over. Too many things could go wrong, and she couldn't handle the public scrutiny if something did. They compromised. They'd wait 8 weeks, then announce both the pregnancy and their real relationship. But first, Natasha needed to do something. She needed to divorce Liam. I want it done before we tell anyone, she told Min-Ho over breakfast. I don't want him claiming the baby is his. I don't want any connection to him anymore. Agreed. I'll have my lawyers draw up papers. The divorce will cite irreconcilable differences and his affair with Min-Seo. You'll get a clean break. No alimony either way, just a dissolution. He'll fight it. Let him try. We have documentation of his affair. Photos of him and Min-Seo together. His own text messages admitting to the open marriage. And Min-Ho smiled grimly. We have his mother's bribe to the fertility doctors. If he fights the divorce, we release that publicly. Criminal charges for medical fraud. His mother could go to prison. You're scary when you're strategic, Natasha said. I'm motivated. No one hurts you and gets away with it. The divorce papers were served to Liam that afternoon. He called Natasha immediately, hysterical. You can't divorce me. We're still in an open marriage. You agreed. I agreed because you manipulated me. The marriage is over, Liam. Sign the papers. I won't. I'll fight this. I'll make it so ugly you'll regret. Then I'll release the evidence that your mother bribed fertility doctors to lie to me for 5 years. Medical fraud. That's a criminal charge, Liam. Your mother could go to prison. Your family's reputation would be destroyed. Is that what you want? Silence on the other end. You wouldn't, Liam said, but he sounded uncertain. Try me. Sign the papers, or I bury your entire family. Liam was quiet for a long moment. Then, if I sign, you don't release the evidence? If you sign and leave me alone forever, the evidence stays private. You get to keep your secrets. But you lose me. Permanently. No contact. No claims. Nothing. And if I don't sign? Then I destroy you the way you destroyed me. Your choice. Liam hung up. 3 days later, the signed divorce papers arrived at Min-Ho's office. Liam had given up. Finally. Natasha Anderson was free. 8 weeks later, Natasha stood in front of a mirror in the most beautiful dress she'd ever worn. Not white. She'd worn white for Liam, and that had been a lie. This dress was champagne gold, flowing and elegant, showing the small bump of her 12-week pregnancy. "You look like a queen," Min-Ho's sister said from behind her. Min-ji had flown in from London for the wedding, and she and Natasha had bonded immediately. "I feel like I'm dreaming," Natasha admitted. "You're not. This is real. My brother is head over heels in love with you, and you're about to marry him. This is your happy ending." The wedding was small, just family and close friends. No press, no spectacle, just Natasha and Min-Ho and the people who mattered. Min-Ho waited for her at the end of the aisle, wearing a traditional Korean hanbok in black and gold. He looked like a prince from a drama. When Natasha reached him, his eyes were wet. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "You're not so bad yourself." They exchanged vows, not traditional ones, but words they'd written themselves. Min-Ho's, "I promise to see you, always, to value you, to remind you every day that you're powerful and brilliant and worthy of everything good in this world, to love you and our child with everything I have, to build a life with you that's based on truth instead of lies. You saved me as much as I saved you, and I will spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice. Natasha's, I promise to trust you, even when it's scary, to be your partner, not your possession, to build a family with you based on love instead of obligation. You showed me I was strong when I'd forgotten. You gave me back my power when I thought it was gone forever. You loved me when I was broken and stayed when I healed. I choose you. Every day, for the rest of my life." They kissed as husband and wife, and in the front row, Natasha saw Liam's mother, who'd somehow gotten in. Hae-jin was crying, not happy tears. Tears of rage and loss, because her son had lost everything. His wife, his business, his reputation. And now Natasha was marrying his biggest enemy and carrying Min-Ho Kang's child. The ultimate revenge. Natasha caught her eye and smiled, then turned away. Because Liam's mother didn't matter anymore. None of them did. Natasha had won. Completely. Finally. Forever. 5 years later, Natasha walked into the Kang Industries office with her daughter on her hip. Grace was 3 years old, with Min-Ho's dark eyes, and Natasha's brown skin, and a personality that was pure mischief. "Mama, why we here?" Grace asked in a mixture of English and Korean. "Because Daddy has a meeting, and you wanted to see him." They took the elevator to the top floor, where Min-Ho's assistant smiled and waved them through. Min-Ho was on a conference call, but the moment he saw them, his entire expression softened. He held up one finger, "Wait 1 minute," and finished his call quickly. Then Grace was running to him, and Min-Ho was scooping her up, kissing her cheeks while she giggled. "How are my girls?" he asked. "Good. Grace wanted to bring you lunch." Natasha held up the bag from his favorite restaurant. "You're the best," Min-Ho said, kissing her properly, while Grace made exaggerated gagging sounds. "Ooh, no kissing!" They laughed. Ate lunch together in Min-Ho's office, while Grace drew pictures of the family. Her, Mama, Daddy, and the baby in Mama's belly. Natasha was 5 months pregnant with their second child, a boy this time. After lunch, Natasha's phone buzzed. A news alert. Former tech CEO Liam Park arrested for fraud. She clicked the article. Liam had been caught embezzling from investors to cover his failing business. He'd been desperate, making bad decisions, and now he was facing criminal charges. Min-Seo had left him 2 years ago when the money ran out. His mother had disowned him. He was alone, broke, and about to go to prison. Natasha should have felt satisfaction. Instead, she felt nothing. Liam was her past, a painful chapter that had led her to something better. Min-Ho noticed her expression. "What is it?" "Liam got arrested. Fraud charges." Min-Ho looked at the article, then at Natasha. "How do you feel?" "I feel like he doesn't matter anymore. Like that whole part of my life was just the setup for this." She gestured to their daughter, to Min-Ho, to her life. "The real story started when I met you." Min-Ho pulled her close, careful of her pregnant belly. "I love you. I love you too." Grace tugged on Min-Ho's sleeve. "Daddy, can we get ice cream?" "Absolutely. Let's close this office and take my girls for ice cream." They left together, a family, while Seoul's skyline glittered outside the windows. Natasha had started as a broken woman in a hotel bar, drinking wine and crying over a marriage that had destroyed her. She'd ended as a successful creative director, happily married to a man who actually valued her, with one child and another on the way. Liam had tried to take everything from her. Instead, he'd pushed her toward the life she was always meant to have. And that was the sweetest revenge of all. The end final message. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the universe pushing you toward something better. Liam's betrayal didn't break Natasha. It freed her to find someone who actually valued her. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Would you agree to an open marriage to save your relationship? Where are you watching from? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.